They say golden years are meant for peace, but what if silence is hiding something darker? Welcome to Elder Secrets, where we uncover truths long buried beneath age and dignity. In today's episode, we expose the silent depression epidemic among U.S. seniors, a crisis no one is talking about, but everyone needs to hear.
Welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into something that really touches so many lives, maybe even our own future selves. We're talking about America's silent senior depression epidemic.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. And when you think depression, maybe you picture younger people, but there's this whole generation, suffering often in silence. Their pain is, well, it's largely invisible. So our mission today is to unpack why it's become such a crisis, why it gets missed so often, and really crucially, what we can actually do about it.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let me start with a story. It's about Margaret, a 74-year-old widow from Ohio. And honestly, this might sound familiar to some of you listening. She used to be like the life of the party, always organizing things, volunteering.
Active, engaged.
Totally. Never missed her grandson's games. But then over the last couple of years, something changed. She stopped answering the phone much, turned down invites, started spending most days just in a recliner, kind of staring at the TV, but not really watching.
Really that withdrawal.
Exactly. And when her daughter got worried, Margaret would just say, "Oh, I'm just tired. At my age, what do you expect?"
That phrase, "at my age," we hear that a lot.
We do. And her family, they just thought it was normal aging. Her doctor, too, in those quick appointments, focused on her blood pressure, her arthritis. Nobody really saw, that Margaret was actually drowning in depression.
And her story is, sadly, incredibly common. We see this pattern again and again.
Millions of seniors, really.
Absolutely. And when you look at the actual numbers, the scope is, well, it's pretty startling. For seniors living independently, depression affects maybe 1 to 5%.
Okay, that sounds maybe not too high on its own.
Right, but wait. That figure jumps dramatically to 13.5% for seniors who need home health care.
Wow. Okay, that's a big leap.
It is. And then you look at nursing homes, assisted living facilities, it just skyrockets anywhere from like 11.5% up to potentially 50% of residents. Half.
50%. That's staggering.
It really is. And what's even more concerning is that these numbers, they're almost certainly just the tip of the iceberg.
Really? Why is that?
Well, the National Alliance on Mental Illness estimates only about half, maybe 50% of seniors with depression actually get any treatment.
Only half receive treatment.
Yeah. And think bigger picture. The World Health Organization calls depression the leading cause of disability worldwide. Worldwide. And among seniors specifically, it's linked to a higher risk of suicide, cognitive decline, even premature death. It really makes you stop and think, why do adults aged 85 and older have the highest suicide rate of any age group in the U.S.?
That statistic is just chilling, the 85-plus group.
It is. It shows this isn't just a personal struggle. It's a massive public health issue.
So Margaret's story, the stats, it all points to this being missed. But why? Why is it so often overlooked? What's the biggest single reason, do you think?
I think you touched on it earlier, really. It's ageism, just deeply rooted ageism in our society.
How so?
Well, there's this tendency to just dismiss emotional struggles in older adults, to see it as inevitable. You hear things like, what do you expect at your age? Or, well, it's normal to slow down.
Right, like it just comes with the territory.
Exactly. But that's just fundamentally wrong. Depression is never a normal part of aging, period.
Never normal. That's key.
Absolutely. And this ageist thinking, unfortunately, it seeps into the healthcare system, too. Doctors are pressed for time, sure, but there's also this subtle bias. So a senior comes in complaining about fatigue or sleep problems, maybe loss of appetite, things that can be depression symptoms. And it gets chalked up to just aging, or maybe their existing arthritis or heart condition. The mental health flags are missed because we're sort of conditioned to look for physical causes first in older adults.
So it's like we're wearing ageist glasses, almost, when we look at older patients' health.
That's a good way to put it. And it's not just the external attitudes. The way symptoms show up in seniors is different, too, which makes it trickier.
Right. You mentioned they don't always say, "I feel sad."
Exactly. While younger people might talk about sadness or hopelessness, seniors are much more likely to present with physical complaints.
Like what kinds of things?
Oh, chronic pain that doesn't seem to have a clear cause, or pain that seems worse than it should be. persistent headaches, digestive issues, just feeling incredibly tired all the time.
So real physical symptoms, but they're masking the depression underneath.
Precisely. It's like a masquerade. Imagine
Yeah.
being Margaret, feeling those aches and fatigue and just thinking, well, I'm old. You wouldn't necessarily connect it to your emotional state.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And then there's another layer, historical stigma.
Right, from the era they grew up in.
Exactly. Many seniors came of age when mental health issues were highly stigmatized. Talking about feeling sad or hopeless, that was seen as a weakness, a character flaw.
The whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea.
That's it. So admitting those feelings, let alone seeking help, can feel really shameful for them, even if they're suffering terribly.
That's a huge barrier.
It is. And one more thing to consider is cognitive changes. Some seniors, especially if there's maybe early dementia starting, might genuinely struggle to put their feelings into words.
Or even recognize the symptoms themselves.
Right. They might feel confused or have memory issues, which could be depression or dementia, or sometimes depressingly, both co-occurring. It makes getting an accurate diagnosis really tough.
Wow. Okay, so it really does sound like a perfect storm. Ageism, different symptoms, stigma, cognitive issues. What are the sort of key ingredients in that storm, the big risk factors?
It absolutely is a perfect storm. And loss is arguably the biggest factor. Just huge.
Loss of loved ones, you mean?
Yes, but it's more than just the grief, though that's immense. By the time people are in their 70s, 80s, they've often lost spouses, friends, siblings, sometimes even adult children.
Multiple losses.
Multiple profound losses. And each one isn't just losing that person. It shatters routines, support systems built over decades. It chips away at their identity. Losing a spouse, who people often say it feels like half of them is gone. It leaves them facing not just grief, but often practical challenges they never had to handle alone, and just crushing isolation.
So loss of people. What else?
Well, there's also the loss of roles. Think about retirement.
Which people often look forward to.
They do. But for someone whose identity was wrapped up in being, say, a respected engineer or a busy mom and grandma, retirement can suddenly leave them feeling purposeless. Like, who am I now? What's my value?
A loss of identity in a way.
Exactly, a diminished sense of self.
And then there are the physical changes that come with aging. That must play a role.
Oh, absolutely. Chronic pain is a big one. Mobility problems, maybe not being able to get out like they used to. Sensory loss too, hearing loss, vision loss that isolates people, makes it harder to enjoy things. It definitely impacts quality of life and, yeah, mental health too.
It's hard to feel good when your body isn't cooperating.
For sure. And don't forget financial stress.
Right. Fixed incomes.
Yeah. Many seniors live on fixed incomes, worrying about paying for medications or if the roof needs fixing or, God forbid, needing long-term care. That constant anxiety takes a toll. It's another loss of control, really.
And all of this can lead to isolation. Right.
Definitely. Social isolation is huge. It's both a risk factor and a symptom. As people get less mobile, as their friends pass away or move, their social world shrinks. And the COVID-19 pandemic just threw this into stark relief, didn't it? So many seniors spent months, even years, with almost no human contact.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Brutal. And if you're in a rural area, geographic isolation makes it even harder. Limited transportation, fewer services, just profound loneliness.
It's just layer upon layer.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to Margaret, where the focus was on her physical health, not the depression. Let's dig into those complex medical and societal factors a bit more.
Yeah, the medical complexity it's immense. Many seniors have multiple chronic conditions, right? Diabetes, heart disease, arthritis.
Usual suspects.
Right. And these conditions can cause depression, but depression can also make managing those conditions worse. It's a two-way street.
And medications play a role too, you mentioned.
Big time. Some common medications seniors take for physical issues can actually have depression as a side effect. And when they're taking multiple drugs polypharmacy, it's called the risk of interactions that can cause or worsen depressive symptoms goes way up. It's like a domino effect sometimes.
That's complicated.
Very. And then there's the tricky relationship between depression and dementia.
How so?
Well, depression can sometimes look like early dementia. Memory problems, confusion, and someone with early dementia can become depressed as they realize what's happening to them.
So they can overlap or mimic each other?
Exactly. Or coexist. Makes diagnosis really challenging for doctors.
And chronic pain. We touched on it as a physical symptom, but it's also this vicious cycle, isn't it?
Totally vicious. Living with constant pain is exhausting. It leads to hopelessness, makes you not want to do anything, messes with your sleep. But then being depressed actually lowers your pain tolerance, so the pain feels even worse. It's just this cruel feedback loop.
Ugh, that sounds awful. Are there differences in how this affects men and women?
There are, yeah. Women are generally diagnosed with depression more often throughout life, and that holds true for older age. But older men, they're much less likely to seek help.
Why is that?
I don't
Still the stigma?
Stigma, yeah, but also how they might show it. Instead of saying they feel down, they might start drinking more or just withdraw completely, become really irritable.
And that ties back to the suicide statistic, doesn't it? The 85-plus men.
Tragically, yes. Men aged 85 and older have a suicide rate more than 3 times higher than the general population. It's a critical point.
3 times. And for women, what are the specific intersections for them?
For older women, depression often intersects with things like widowhood, which is more common for them, the stress of being a primary caregiver, and often greater financial insecurity, especially if they depended on a partner's income or pension.
The caregiving connection, that's another big one. So many seniors are caring for a spouse, maybe even an adult child with disabilities.
Right. And while it can provide purpose, the stress is immense. The isolation, the physical demands, it's a recipe for burnout and depression. But the focus is always on the person receiving care.
So the caregiver's mental health gets overlooked.
Often, yes, completely overlooked.
And does culture play into this? Ethnicity?
Absolutely. Experiences aren't uniform. In some cultures, like we said, the stigma around mental health is even stronger. Seeking help might feel like bringing shame on the family.
Right.
There can be language barriers, too, in getting screened or treated. Immigrant seniors face unique stressors, cultural adjustment, maybe discrimination, worries about being dependent, and simple economics. Lack of resources or access to culturally competent care in certain communities is a huge barrier.
What about technology? We live in such a digital world now. How does that impact seniors and depression?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. There's the digital divide, right? Many seniors feel left behind, confused by tech. The pandemic really highlighted that when everything went online.
Yeah, trying to teach grandparents Zoom.
Exactly. It can cause stress, feelings of inadequacy, but for seniors who do embrace technology, it can be an amazing tool. Online support groups, telehealth appointments, staying connected with family.
So it can help or hinder, depending.
Pretty much. And just briefly, the economic impact of all this untreated depression, it's massive.
How so? More healthcare costs.
Definitely. Depressed seniors often use the ER more, get hospitalized more often, partly because depression can make them less likely to manage their other health conditions well. They might skip meds, miss appointments.
So it worsens physical health outcomes, too.
Right, which costs the system more. Plus, there's the cost of families' time off work for caregiving, financial strain, and just the societal loss of potential when experienced, valuable older adults withdraw from their communities.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty complex, maybe even bleak picture of the challenges. But you said there's hope. Effective treatments exist despite the hurdles.
Yes, absolutely. The hope is real. But let's acknowledge the barriers first, because they're significant.
Okay.
There's a real shortage of geriatric mental health specialists, especially if you live outside a major city.
Right. Access is key.
Access, yeah. Then there's insurance. Medicare covers some things, but copays and deductibles can be tough on a fixed income. Transportation is a huge one. If you can't drive anymore, how do you get to appointments? And like we said, many primary care doctors just don't have extensive specialized training in senior mental health. They're doing their best, but it's a gap. And of course, stigma, that underlying reluctance to admit you need help.
So significant barriers. But treatments do work.
Yes. Effective treatments absolutely exist, and the prognosis for seniors who get treatment is actually quite good. The key is tailoring it.
Tailoring it how?
Well, psychotherapy, talk therapy is very effective. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, that helps people challenge those negative thought patterns like, my life is pointless now.
Okay.
Interpersonal therapy focuses on relationships, social connections, really helpful for dealing with loss and isolation. And problem-solving therapy helps tackle concrete issues, money worries, health problems that are feeding the depression.
So different types of therapy for different needs.
Yeah.
What about medication?
Medication can be really important, yes, but it needs careful management in seniors.
Because of the interactions and body changes.
Exactly. Their bodies process drugs differently, and they're often on other meds. So you usually start with lower doses, adjust slowly, monitor closely. Some antidepressants just aren't ideal for older adults. Often, the best approach, especially for moderate to severe depression, is actually combination therapy.
Therapy and medication together.
Right. They often work better together.
Are there newer approaches too? Things that are maybe more accessible?
Definitely. Telehealth has been a game changer. Getting therapy over video removes that transportation barrier.
Huge.
Huge. Group therapy for seniors is great too. Tackles depression and isolation at the same time. There are also collaborative care models where mental health support is integrated right into the primary care doctor's office. Makes it easier to access, less stigmatizing.
Oh, that's smart.
It is. And don't underestimate activity-based things. Art therapy, music programs, gardening groups, volunteering. Providing meaningful engagement can be incredibly therapeutic. Gives purpose back.
So it's not just about doctors and meds. Family and community are vital.
Absolutely crucial. Families are usually the first ones to notice something's off, but they need education. What are the signs? How do I talk about it without making things worse? How is this different from just getting older?
Right. Equipping the family.
Exactly. And communities play a huge role in prevention. Things like senior centers, meal delivery programs, intergenerational activities, they all combat isolation and foster connection.
Which brings us to prevention. What can we actually do or encourage seniors to do to protect their mental health?
Maintaining social connections is probably number one. Meaningful relationships, not just casual acquaintances, but people you can really connect with.
Quality over quantity.
Definitely. Physical activity is huge too. Studies show it can be as effective as antidepressants for mild to moderate depression. Doesn't have to be marathon running, walking, gardening, chair yoga.
Deceiving.
Just moving. Finding purpose is key too. Volunteering, taking a class, pursuing a hobby, mentoring someone, feeling engaged and like you're contributing.
Makes sense.
And then the basics. Trying to manage finances as best as possible to reduce that stress. And staying on top of regular healthcare checkups, managing chronic conditions, reviewing medications regularly with the doctor.
You mentioned COVID earlier. How did that whole experience change things, looking back?
Well, it was devastating in terms of isolation, leading to big jumps in anxiety and depression among seniors. It really exposed that digital divide starkly. But it also forced innovation. The explosion in telehealth was largely driven by the pandemic, and it definitely raised awareness about senior loneliness and mental health. So some valuable, if hard-won, lessons came out of it.
It feels important to share some positive outcomes too, to show that recovery really happens.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about Eleanor. 81, retired teacher, became deeply depressed after her husband died, stopped doing everything she loved.
Like Margaret, almost.
Very similar. But her daughter helped her find a therapist specializing in seniors. Through therapy, she learned coping skills, joined a book club, started tutoring literacy, even adopted a dog. Now she says she's happier than she's been in years.
That's wonderful. A dog helps.
Dogs often help. And then there's Robert, 73-year-old vet. Health problems made him feel useless, led to depression. He got into a VA program, Veterans Affairs, combined treatment with peer support. He not only recovered, but became a peer counselor himself.
Paying it forward.
Exactly. These stories show recovery is possible. Good treatment tackles the emotional stuff and the practical problems. And finding new meaning, that's incredibly powerful.
They're great examples. So this really leads us to the path forward. Action is needed on lots of levels, right? Individual, community, policy.
Yes, and it starts with a fundamental shift in mindset. Recognizing that depression is not normal aging. Seniors deserve good mental health care, same as anyone.
Okay, so for you, our listener, what can you actually do? First, just pay attention. Look closely at the seniors in your life. Learn the warning signs we talked about: sadness, loss of interest, changes in sleep or eating, physical complaints, trouble concentrating, feeling worthless, thoughts of death.
Don't dismiss those signs.
Don't dismiss them, and combat ageism in yourself, in your community. Speak up if you hear dismissive comments. Support local programs that help seniors stay connected. Senior centers, meal delivery, transportation help.
Even small programs make a big difference.
They really do. Maybe consider volunteering. Just visiting someone who's isolated can be huge. Advocate for better mental health services, more funding, better insurance coverage, more training for doctors and geriatric care.
Use your voice.
Use your voice. If you work in healthcare, educate yourself specifically on senior depression. And maybe simplest but hardest, start conversations. Talk about senior mental health with friends, family. Break that silence.
Breaking the silence is key. And just so you know, Research is ongoing. Scientists are looking at the biology of depression in aging, testing new tech interventions apps, VR, maybe refining social programs, studying lifestyle factors like nutrition. The effort continues.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've seen this epidemic is common, it's serious, it's often hidden. And this is the crucial part, it's also treatable and preventable. Recovery is possible. People like Eleanor and Robert show us that.
And maybe the final thought is this. The silence around senior depression, it isn't inevitable. It's actually a choice. And we, collectively, can choose differently. We can choose to see the emotional lives of older adults as valid, as worthy of attention and care. We can choose to build communities that actively support and value their elders. And we can choose to demand healthcare systems that treat senior mental health just as seriously as anyone else's.
Well said. The time for silence is over. The time for action is now. Please remember, depression is never a normal part of aging. It is never too late to seek help or to help someone else find the support they need. If you or a senior you know is struggling, reach out. Talk to a doctor. Find a mental health professional. Help is out there.